With songs like I've Been Waiting, he was drawing on deeply felt emotion and writing the best music of his career. But by 1991, he had had 2 albums that didn't sell. No one wanted to take a chance on a third. In Atlanta, Georgia, however, there was one person who believed in Matthew and his music. Matthew Sweet met Russell Carter when Carter was working with groups like REM. Today, Carter is trying to get Matthew time in the studio to complete the new album, Blue Sky on Mars.
Hey, Lou. How are you doing? So this record's moving along. Yeah, fast at this point. That sounds great. Gorgeous harmony of instrumentation, and the quality of the sound is as good as anything they're doing from scratch. They seem to be having a great time together. And they're like little kids. They really are. But it is, I can tell you, there is some major rockin' material here. I mean major.
Russell Carter talking to Matthew's record label in Hollywood, California, Zoo Entertainment. They're paying for Matthew's studio time, but aren't too worried because the new album is starting to get some buzz in the media.
Well, it's good exposure, and, you know, the more people are saying you're replacing REM is all right with me. They keep saying.
Lou Malia, president of the Zoo record label, is willing to gamble that more recording time will result in a better album.
Oh, you're in Dallas.
But he wasn't always a believer in Matthew's music. In 1991, when Russell Carter was first trying to market the Girl album, no one, including Malia, was interested.
Russell was just starting to manage Indigo Girls at that time, and I think I asked him, my manager, and one of the first things as he became suddenly both my lawyer and my manager, he became obsessed with that song, and he really believed it could be on rock radio.
I went to all these labels, and I found somebody who got Girlfriend, and didn't just get it, but wanted to sign it. It was an incredible record. At every label, and I can name the people at any label you name. But the problem was generally younger people that, you know, are hired to hear music and go to their bosses and say, this is cool, and the bosses say, great, I'll sign it. That's what you're there for. But what I kept running into was bosses who would look at Matthew and think, I got dropped from Columbia, dropped from A&M, 2 strikes, you're out.
You know, it's too derivative, it's this, it's that, you know, and then they'd get demoralized and it would never happen.
And the same thing really happened at Zoo.
He gave me a tape, and I listened to it a couple of times on the plane, and, you know, I thought it was nice, but I didn't hear the hit.
And that's where it stood until the day he walked down the hall, and the A&R was a former critic. It's a writer for Rolling Stone.
And the A&R guy is playing the tape, and the president, is Lou Maglia, walks by the office and hears it and goes, what's that? And they said, you passed on a month ago.
I walked back. I said, what's this? He said, that's Matthew. And I said, man, this is great.
That is great. What is that? We should sign it. Let's sign it. Tell Vanderbilt to sign it. So it was like that, like, barely happened. Like, if he hadn't have Ryan said it, it might have just been some memo that was forgotten, you know?
The kicker to the story is Matthew had gone the street from his house in Princeton, New Jersey, and applied at Toys R Us to sell toys the same day, week, sometime in the same period, right when the Zoo deal got, you know, he was this close to selling toys.
And it was a big deal to me in my life, even though it was I got $10,000 to sign with them, which is, you know, a pretty tiny amount for a major label or something, but at the time I needed it really bad for back rent.
It was absolutely genuine enthusiasm, but it didn't just start out in little small places. There was genuine enthusiasm at Rolling Stone, for instance. And the woman who Letterman heard the record and thought, wow, this is a cool record. We got to get him on Letterman. And the people at MTV, very enthusiastic about it. So, I mean, there was a classic buzz over that record.
I remember the rest we went to when the radio people came and said, you're in the top 10, you know. Because it was just such a huge deal to me. I mean, I never dreamed I'd do well at college radio, let alone any other radio.
The album was not just a popular success, it was an artistic success as well.
Girlfriend, in a way, is like it's a record not just because it became the first record that was successful for me, but in a way it was the first record where I was just really go of kind of my inhibitions about things. I just said whatever and did whatever I felt like.
But success came with a price.
It took him a while to absorb how to deal with going from a very private person to somewhat of a public person. For years, sat around writing songs and no one heard him except his close friends, and that was fine, and he was comfortable with it. Then all of a sudden, he wrote something very personal about a divorce and a new relationship, and every magazine in the world wants to write about it and ask him very personal questions. And, you know, that was not an easy transition.
And I don't think I dealt with that particularly well at the time. I think I sort of tried to get away from it by kind of drinking a lot on the road, and I just got really kind of frustrated and wound up.
Just because you have those trappings doesn't mean that everything's wonderful. Touring is a grind. Doing the press is a grind. When Girlfriend came out, he was playing these radio station shows all over the country, touring with everybody, doing what he had to beat that record to death, which is how you work it.
Being home all the time and getting out all my feelings stopped cold. And I had like a job which went around me 24 hours a day, coming back to me and being just listening to everyone's things about me all the time.
That was part of it. The other part was he was getting perceived as this pop guy, you know, Matthew Sweet popster. Well, he took care of that in one fell swoop with Altered Beast. He could have gone out and made another Girlfriend and tried to repeat the success and built that traditional career. But he did a record that I'm sure the label never going to come out and say, we didn't like the record. But I'm sure when they heard it, they just went, yow! You know? I mean, what are we going to sell off of this, you know?
All right, this next song.